Welcome to Module 16, Lesson 3. Our I can statement reads, I can find the product of a whole number and a fraction using a visual representation or an equation. So here we're just continuing to expand on our using multiplication with fractions. Okay, let's look at our first problem. Haley is making 5 batches of goop to use in her science demonstration. How much cornstarch does she need to make 5 batches? Draw a visual model to show the product 5 times 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to use a bar model to show this. Haley has 5 groups, or 5 batches, and each batch needs 3/4 cup of cornstarch. Great. Let's go ahead and answer our questions. Letter A asks us, how many equal groups of 3/4 did we draw? And explain. So we drew 5 groups for the 5 batches. Letter B asks us, how can we describe the amount of cornstarch needed for 1 batch, 2 batches, 3 batches, 4 batches, and 5 batches using groups? What this means is our first batch is 1 group of 3/4 of a cup. So 1 batch needs 3/4 of a cup. The second is 2 groups of 3/4 of a cup. So now we're up to 6/4. We're going to have to go on this line too. 3 batches of 3/4 of a cup is how many cups? 9/4 of a cup. Then 4 batches, or 4 groups of, 3/4 of a cup is equal to 12/4 of a cup. And finally, 5 groups of 3/4 of a cup is equal to 15/4 of a cup. Now, if you couldn't fit all of that, that's okay. Didn't give us a lot of space for that one. So it's asking us in total, right? We had 3/4, and then in 2 batches, 6/4, and then in 3 batches, 9/4, 12/4, and finally, in all 5 batches, 15/4. So how much cornstarch does Haley need? She needs 15/4 cups, or let's go ahead and rewrite that as a mixed number. So 15/4 is equal to 3 whole groups of 4/4, right? That gets us to 12/4, plus 3 more, 3 and 3/4 cups. Okay, let's do number 3. So you're going forward 1 more page. Kara is preparing a kung fu demonstration for the talent show. She practices 2/3 hour each day for 5 days. How many hours does she practice over the 5 days? Draw a visual representation that you could use to solve the problem. Or describe a visual representation. Well, we could do 5 groups of 2/3, right? And that would could use a bar model for it. Each of these is 2/3. Right, you could also draw 5 groups, each one with 2/3 in it. You could draw 5 circles that are divided into thirds, however you want to show it. Letter B asks us to write an equation to model the problem. Let H equal the total number of hours she practices. So I know that she practices 5 days, and each of those days she practices for 2/3 of an hour. So now let's go ahead and multiply. 5 times 2/3. When we find the product of a whole number and a fraction, right, we're multiplying that numerator by the whole number. 5 times 2/3. And we get a total of 10/3. Now, why do we only multiply the numerator times 5? Well, think about this number 1, or this number 5. It's equal to 5 wholes. Okay, so if I had 5 fraction circles over here, we're going to pretend those are all equal. This shows me 5 wholes. My denominator would be 1 in each, right? 1, 1, 1 whole. So I'm really just multiplying here by 5 over 1 because it's 5 wholes. That's why we're not multiplying that denominator by 5. Otherwise, we would be multiplying by 5/5. And we know this is equal to 1. All right, so how many hours does Kara practice? She practices 10/3 hours. Let's go ahead and rename this. I have 3 groups of 3/3, right? Because that gives me a total of 9/3. Plus 1 more third. That's equal to 3 and 1/3 hours. Right, go ahead and complete the check understanding. Press pause and press play to check your work. Let's go ahead and check your work. This first problem, she needs 26 cups of strawberries, or if you went ahead and regrouped that and renamed, it was 3 2/6 cups. The product here was 21/8, 15/6, 15/5, and 27/4. And if you're working on renaming as mixed numbers, go ahead and check your work.